everybody. I was thinking about something today. It's something that's come up a lot here lately, and it's about appraisal. Now, I do appraisals of all shapes and sizes, 30 million to probably 200,000 normally. On occasion, I pick up like a mitigation only estimate, or appraisal. Because sometimes like insurance carriers or even the guys who are the mitigation companies actually will push for appraisal. Not as much now that the AOB is gone in a lot of places, but where there's an AOB. Let's face it, sometimes when people do, sometimes when they do the work that they do, like when the insurance companies don't want to, fight it out with you, don't want to go have a legal battle with you, they'll spin you to appraisal. There's a lot of times that appraisal is not a good idea for the people that are engaged in it. I typically say to most of the insureds that show up at my door one way or the other, if they don't come from counsel, because I do a lot of stuff behind counsel, which I really like, I say to every one of them, you got to go talk to a lawyer before you do this, because the lawyer may have some tools in their quiver that we don't have in appraisal, and I don't want to make money off you so bad that I want to limit your rights in this process. But what I want to talk to you about specifically is the mitigation end of the business. There's a quandary that you run into in an appraisal that some people may not actually realize that can really, really impact the ability to get what you want or what you need inside of appraisal. And it's good for you to know this going in. Let me give you an example. Recently had a mitigation contractor who was thrown into appraisal that had about a $60,000 mitigation bill. It looked reasonable. It looked like some things that had happened that weren't exactly right. His documentation was not perfect, but I felt pretty sure that we could get him out at around 50 grand because that looked reasonable to me, based on all the information I had. As it turned out, in the process of the appraisal, we found that the recon scope on that property was about $55,000. So if you do that math and you say recon is $55,000 and mitigation is $60,000, something seems out of whack. It might not be out of whack, but something seems out of whack. And that appraiser that the carrier sends, and probably the umpire that we've selected, is probably going to think that something's out of whack just the same, just because of that recon scope. And because of that, that award is probably going to wind up being lower. So what I'm saying is, you got to look at a more complete picture when you look at whether appraisal is a good idea or not. So the other time that I had recently, I had one that showed up where the insured had a policy of $54,000. The mitigation contractor who I was handling the appraisal for had an estimate for $26,000. That was almost right at 50% of the total of the policy for the insured. Do you think that that bill was going to get paid by the insurance company or even the appraisal panel with ease? Now, I backed that out in a pretty good position, but I didn't get it up to that number. But my point was, I didn't feel great about it anyway, because that problem still remained. That 50% of the value of the policy, or 50% of the scope of repair, or better, or 100% of the scope of repair. If the metrics aren't there to look any kind of logical, then what you're going to find over and over again, and you can't avoid it, is a problem on those kinds of appraisals. I don't have these problems anywhere else. We're dealing in the millions, in the hundreds of thousands. Those things come out in the wash. But I could promise you, if I had a project where the scope of repair was $1 million and the mitigation company came in at $1 million, probably not happening either. So I guess what I'm saying more than anything else is, before you engage in the process of appraisal, look for a little help, check the numbers, check with an attorney, look to see what is. Because if that equation is the equation I just described to you, then you're going to find a situation that's going to not net what you imagined. The other thing about appraisal that everybody needs to know is not everybody's happy all the time. You know, I did one not too long ago that was came in at $357,000 greater than the public adjuster's estimate. Didn't go to umpire. We settled it out with the details, got it done, and did it right. I was proud of that award. It was great. I was very proud of my opposing appraiser. I thought that his credibility was just out of this world. And I ended up had to sue that client to pay me for my fees for that appraisal, because he thought that great award was about $800,000 off. So I say all that to say is, look at this thing rationally before you go into appraisal. And probably the best way to look at it rationally is to go get some counsel. And just remember that anytime you're doing appraisal, most of the time when there's an appraisal, if you can get that behind an attorney or behind suit, it changes the equation considerably in the process. If for no other reason, it just makes it more serious and more to the point, and usually flows a little faster. I hope I haven't offended anybody on this, but if I have, you probably need to look at your numbers if you're having a problem in this area. It's probably not the people working with you, it's that the numbers aren't working out logically. Have a great day. If you need me for anything, let me know. I'll be glad to help anybody. I think that all boats rise together. Take care.